Putting the elements to work means learning how to harmonize their energies for success. This presentation will help you understand how to do that. The 5 Chinese elements, fire, earth, metal, water, and wood, make up all matter in the universe. STEM scientists have deconstructed the elements into atoms and molecules, which is illustrated in the periodic table of the elements. But it's all the same stuff, of which we are a part. Our bodies are made up of the elements. Feng Shui assumes the universe is not only physical and measurable, but conscious and transmitting. When our environment is out of balance, we feel out of balance. And when we are out of balance, our environment reflects that back to us. Neil deGrasse Tyson, an American astrophysicist, explains that the atoms of our bodies are traceable to stars that exploded across our galaxy. For this reason, we are biologically connected to every other thing in the world, Tyson says. As Feng Shui practitioners, we understand that everything in the world is alive or pulsating with life. This pulse flows energy, or qi, and we are attuned to its vibration. We know molecular energy can be productive and create medicine, or destructive and create bombs. How molecular energy is combined and in what proportions makes the difference. The elements are no exception. The diagram you're looking at is called the cycle of the elements. It illustrates the productive and destructive energies that occur when you mix them together. The productive energies flow clockwise from one element to another, as shown by the arrows. Each element nurtures and supports one another. The most destructive energies are defined by the arrows pointing to another element in the diagram. So as you can see, when water is pointing to fire, it indicates that water has dominion over fire. It can completely destroy fire. And when you see that earth can destroy water, what that means is that earth can contain water and stop it from flowing. It can put it into a dam. It can lock it up and keep it from flowing. So it controls water. Metal, of course, controls wood meaning like it can saw it down. It can completely take down a forest, plow it up. And fire can turn metal into liquid. So all of these arrows are the most destructive forces that can possibly be brought to the other element. But there are other interactions. When the productive cycle is reversed, you get a gently destructive cycle. This is an energy that will slow you down, kind of like a light cold, but not to a great extent. And when the arrows in the destructive cycle are reversed, they become moderately destructive. They'll put some serious pressure on you, but they aren't fatal. The elements are like warlords who fight for dominance day and night. They all want the biggest piece of the pie. They all want to be the boss of everything. It's your job to keep them balanced in your environment so your life can be productive and peaceful and harmonious, not chaotic. Recognize the ruling element is intended to bring success to whatever area of life that it covers. If you bring too many destructive elements into the ruling element's gua, the ruling element loses power, and so will you in that area of your life. The ruling element is always the honoree in its home gua. They are royalty, and this means that business in their gua is governed by them. The elements are like any family gathered together. They must learn to live peacefully together. In this example, Mom, 2 siblings, and Dad display which elements they will use to support, balance, or undermine the fire honoree. Every gua must house the entire family for success. Family roles never change, although the members may swap elements. We'll get to that in a moment. But for now, how much space you give each family member is the most important consideration. This is a good way to distribute the family and balance the elements in the fame and reputation gua. So you can see that water is, of course, the most destructive element for fire, and it gets the smallest piece of the pie. Earth, which is like a mild drain on the energy, gets a little bigger piece in that quadrant. Metal gets a percentage, but look how wood, the most supportive element, wood gets a large percentage of the pie, but the honoree always gets the lion's share, but less than 50%. The devoted mother, the honoree's big supporter, gets the next largest share. And then the children and father, they are corrective forces, and they end up divvying up the rest. So I wouldn't want to see slightly more than a quarter of percentage of the pie to be devoted to your destructive energies. This is a good distribution that we're looking at. So the dominating father, 4%. Well, you can read these. Needy child, 13, 11, 25, and 47. This is a good distribution. It doesn't have to be exact in every situation, but it's a good rule of thumb to start with. So let's talk about the family roles and who does what. Each member plays a vital role in supporting and balancing the honoree or weakening it. The next slides show who does what. The devoted mother is the only productive force in the cycle. She is the honoree's cheerleader, supporter, and best friend. You want to give her a generous percentage of space in the gua compared to the children and the father. The needy child, like a baby, acts as a gentle drain on the honoree's energy. The needy child softens, but doesn't dominate the honoree. The rebellious child is like a teen who defies rules and regulations. If he is overrepresented in the honoree's gua, the rebellious child can significantly weaken the honoree by wearing it down. But given an appropriate amount of space, the rebellious child exerts a moderate force that balances the honoree's energy. The dominating father has the last word, and his power over the honoree is absolute. He is represented by those arrows that we saw in the cycle of the elements, the very first graph that we looked at. These are the arrows that show who can destroy the other. So keep his space in the honoree's gua minimal, or the honoree will become weak and defenseless, and therefore won't work well in your life. In small proportion, the dominating father transforms into a firm and fair disciplinarian, which benefits the honoree. So let's take a look at the family order. Everyone has a permanent position on the cycle of the elements, and this is really key to understanding how to make the elements work. Just as most family members have assigned seats around the dining table, I know my family did, I don't know about yours, but I think most families do. You know what your seat is. The element family members also have assigned seats around the cycle of elements table. What changes, however, are the family members' plates, where each plate represents a different element. As the gua and honoree change, family members get a different plate or element as their new identity. So let's see how this works. The mother and child always flank the honoree in the cycle of elements. The mother is the only nurturing or productive family member in the cycle and always sits to the left of the honoree. In this and the following examples, fire is the honoree. So in this case, the devoted mother represents the wood element. So that's the wood element plate. The needy child, who drains energy from the honoree, sits at its right. And in this case, the needy child is earth, which takes from the honoree. It drains its energy a little bit, but it is the child of the honoree. It says, feed me, help me, tend to me. I love you, but the needy child gives no energy back. The rebellious child sits below the needy child in the cycle of elements. The rebellious child will stand his ground and can be a significant hindrance to the honoree if given too much space in the gua. But in the right proportion, the rebellious child keeps the honoree from crossing boundaries and enhances the honoree's energy. The dominating father sits below the devoted mother and has the final word when it comes to the honoree. The dominating father is a positive force when kept to a small area of the gua, but when dominating father's element occupies too much space, he creates serious roadblocks for the honoree. So this is a look at the fire family table. Fire is the honoree and its family is seated around the cycle of elements table. In the next section, you'll see what the earth, metal, water, and wood families look like sitting around the cycle. This and the following 3 graphs illustrate each element's honoree in relationship to its element family. Here, wood has rotated to the top as honoree. Notice that wood moved clockwise from its devoted mother role to fire, and all the elements rotated one space. So fire is now the needy child of the wood element. When water is the honoree, the devoted mother becomes metal and the needy child is now wood. Notice that the family roles of mother, father, and children never change positions, only the elements move. And here's the graph for metal. And finally, the illustration for earth, honoree, and family. So again, I'll just repeat. The elements move. You rotate the elements. You can rotate them forward or backwards. It doesn't really matter. But whenever you put the honoree at the top, you are going to know which ones are supporting and which ones are destructive to that honoree because they don't move. They're always in the same position. So let's do a quick recap. The diagram shows the fixed family seats for all elements. Rotate only the elements so that each gua's honoree sits at the top. So when you're working in the earth guas of relationship and contracts or in wisdom and self-knowledge, that's when you want to rotate that earth element up to the top and then work from there, for example. And now you'll see which element supports and challenges the honoree easily. Evaluate your home to see how balanced your rooms are and if the elements are supporting your intentions. So this is the end of the presentation. The assignment for June is a group assignment, and that is to take a photo of one of your rooms. It can be a part of the room that you want to show, or it can be a panorama or 3 different views of the room, whichever you'd like. And we are not going to critique your decorating. We are going to be looking as a group to see what elements are there and what might be missing. I think it'll be good. It'll be fun. I like to do it for myself, and I think you'll be surprised and happy to see some things that you might be able to do a little better and to learn all the things that you're doing well.